Well, I know that you've been looking and traveling across different countries for many years. How did that work out for you? Do you think you've made the choices that resulted in a better life for you personally?
Yes, no question about that. I grew up in partially in North America, and I never felt like I belonged there. My family is very British, going back 950 years, and it's very much ingrained. So the culture that I was a part of, the ethics that I had that I was taught in my family, I just didn't fit in. So by the time of the age of 7 or so, I was already saying, I need to get out of here. I'm in the wrong place. And when I became an adult, I'd already done a lot of traveling, but I left. But before going, I was investigating other countries and looking for things that were the most important to me. The Cayman Islands became famous as a low tax jurisdiction, but that was an incidental to me. I was looking for other things primarily, in particular, top of the list, how people treat each other. That was very high priority for me. I thought I can always do well. I'm intelligent and I'm willing to work hard, so I can always make a living. But I can't change the way other people are. So I'm going to want to go to a place where people are already, they already have a set of ethics that appeals to me, that I'm going to be at home with. And I stumbled upon that by accident in the Cayman Islands. I said, this is it. This is where I'm going. And I've never regretted that choice. I've been here for over a half a century, and I haven't regretted it. I have other homes, but this is still number one. This is still the primary.
Is there any other criteria that you look at when you are assessing the country? Because back in the days when we started the conversation first, I know that you had a very specific list of criteria that you were looking at that were important for yourself, and you were assessing countries against that, and you recommended I do the same. So the way people treat each other is one. Are there any other significant ones that you are looking at?
Well, not back then, no. It was pretty simplistic. I was a young guy and my thinking wasn't all that complicated. And so I thought, well, I'll try this, and if it doesn't work, I'll move on. And I can remember my wife at the time saying to me, well, what if this doesn't work out? Do we go back? And I said, no, I already know that I don't want to go back. So we'll just keep looking. So if we find that it was the wrong choice, we'll find another choice. And we never did. But for today, it's a lot more complicated. And at this point, the world has begun its once in a lifetime economic crisis. And so that is a very, very big aspect of choosing to expatriate yourself. So the questions that I ask others to ask themselves are much more extensive than that. They have an awful lot to do with your age, your marital situation, if you're young, whether you have young children, if you're old, whether you've already retired, what your income is. And some of these are very personal questions that I don't like asking, but I have to say to people, I'm afraid you'll have to tell me how much money you've got and what your abilities are, where you can make a living and where you wouldn't be able to make a living. Otherwise, I can't really advise you. And I don't blame people if they don't want to tell me, but I'm able to help people a lot more if they give me the background. Then I can recommend a country that is more well suited for them. So it does entail all of those questions, and in particular the things that you're trying to get away from. For a lot of people who are libertarian, they're chasing freedom. They're looking for greater freedom because they know that in their home country they're going to be losing a lot of freedom very soon. And so I tend to recommend those places where freedom is on the rise, not the decline. And I'm sorry to say that throughout the first world, and by the first world, I mean the US, Canada, the UK, EU, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, all of the first world countries are on the freedom decline, and the decline is going to get far more pronounced in the coming years. And so if freedom is important to you, my recommendation is go away from those countries. And by going away, what you want to do is not just physically go away, but be in a location that is the least impacted as possible. And you and I have discussed Uruguay extensively. One of the reasons why I have a home in Uruguay is that it's not connected to the first world at all. They import only 10% of what they consume, and they export only 10% of what they produce. So because of that, because there is very little interplay with other countries and almost zero interplay with the first world countries, almost none. They just export soybeans to Europe, and that's it. But because of that, they sat out both world wars and the Great Depression almost unaffected. It was as though they hadn't happened. So in a crisis, you're looking for not so much for escape from what you're in now. This is very important, and most people miss this point. You're trying to escape what's about to happen. It's the change that's going to happen, the transformation of the country that you're in. And you might be able to live with your country now, but will you be able to live with it in a crisis situation? Because there's a chance that it's going to be very, very different. And for a place like, say, Uruguay or Thailand, there are countries out there that are very likely to change very little. And that stability is very, very important. You don't want to be the new guy in town at a time when everything is changing and people are feeling a tightening of the belt. And so you might end up being the bad guy, and you might end up being a victim. You want to be able to be quietly a part of that community with as little change as possible.